Welcome everybody. Let's change the shed. It's March 12th, 2025. Glad you're all here. It is snowing in Colorado. Didn't think it was going to snow for a few days, but here we are. Let's see who's here. I neglected to put any social media things about Change the Shed today, so we might have a smaller crew. Barbara's here from San Diego. Welcome, Barbara. Karen from Massachusetts, working on some sampling. Curving weft interlock. That's a fun thing, Karen. Paula from Vermont and working on knitting. That's also great. Betsy, welcome from Kansas City, Missouri. And Hilly's here from the Netherlands. Yes, I also should have mentioned last time that we had daylight savings time. So that is another reason there's probably fewer people. We get a lot of people here internationally, and the United States changed their time over the weekend. So people will show up in an hour. And anyway, Mary's here from Wisconsin, and Sally also from Wisconsin, and Kathy's finishing up her first little weaving on Vashon Island. Wonderful. That's a beautiful place. Kathy, no, I will answer that question. Here is, let's see. Kathy has this question. Looked at the pictures of tapestries online at the Clark Institute in Williamstown, Massachusetts. I wish I could go see that show, but totally not going to be able to because I am not flying anytime soon. And I just lost it. Wondering if most of those pieces are machine woven, as they are very large. They are not machine woven. They are absolutely hand woven. There's a whole history about tapestry weaving, which would be fun to go into. Sometime those pieces, I believe, I don't know a lot about the show. I haven't done much research, but I believe they're from hundreds of years ago. Monumental tapestries were absolutely the thing of the day. They were rich people's social media. They were commissioned by kings and people who had a lot of money, and there were whole teams of people weaving them. They are absolutely hand woven. No way they're machine woven, especially with the dates on them. So lots of history about tapestry, and Kathy, I'm happy to give you some references or talk about it more in any of the online classes. It's fun to talk about the past of tapestry. It has a storied past, let's just say. Lou is setting up her loom for a new tapestry 18 by 12. Awesome. Good job, Lou. Go big or go home? Not really. I don't really believe that, but I do love doing bigger tapestries. She says her new one will be 18 by 12. Anne is in Maryland working on her 9th tapestry dyer piece. Yes, that's a great question, Anne. If I did my math correctly, are Kohler singles a third the cost of natural array per yard? I don't actually know. I haven't done the math, but I would not be surprised if that is correct. Harrisville Kohler singles, I use them partly because that's what I learned on. That's what my teacher, James Kohler, used. That's why they're called Harrisville Kohler singles. He used that and Faro. And Harrisville designed that yarn for James Kohler. So it is the least expensive tapestry yarn that I know of. In terms of, it's undyed. You can't get it in colors, but it is, it's a great yarn. I really like it a lot, and it is the least expensive. So yes, I would not be surprised if that is true, Ian. So if you're a dyer, I have a dye class. If you want to learn how to make all the colors I'm going to show you today, well, I'm not going to show you a lot of colors today, but yeah, you can learn to dye. Dave's working on hachures. He's here from the UK, I think. Laura's here from her castle in Massachusetts because we're going to hang tapestries in our castles, right? I always have trouble keeping our castles warm. Still laughing about that, Laura. Thank you. Margaret's here from Glasgow. where it's probably weather like this because it's Scotland, right? Jan is from Portland. Men is here from Denmark. Margaret from, also still laughing about Laura's Castle. Karen did see the Clark exhibit, and she thinks they're about 12 EPI. So that's a great detail, Karen. Thank you. Someone else asked let's see, the Hashur class. If you're in the Tapestry Discovery Box, we had a live typed thing yesterday in the Hashur class, or hatching class, sorry. And where someone had an image from that exhibit of Hashur. So we talked about that, and we were talking about the set and stuff. And thank you, Karen, for the details. That's super helpful, as I am unfortunately not going to get to go see that show. I think it closed already, so I should just forget about it. Leslie is here from Vermont. She also saw them, and they were incredible. Marlena says it's sunny in Texas. Cheryl's here from Maryland. Oh, Cheryl said the tapestries are all mid-20th century. Thank you, Cheryl. I didn't know I clearly didn't pay enough attention. Maybe there's a catalog I can get. I apologize for even talking about it. One of my good friends in Maine sent me some images of it, and I wanted to go see, but clearly didn't even pay enough attention. I'm sorry. Mary is here from Virginia, just finished my beginning course and is going to take the Tapestry Discovery Box. Hooray. Kathleen's here from Vermont. I apologize for taking time at the beginning. I like to go through and see what questions people have right away, but also there's usually ads at the beginning. I can't change that. YouTube puts the ads in on their live feeds and you can't take them out. So if you go to the recording, the entire recording will be there. There will also be ads in the recording, but they won't cut anything out in the recording. So the next change the shed is, boy, having the slide over my head makes me a little nuts. Next Friday, the next change the shed, Friday, March 21, special Friday episode. So join me next Friday. I know some of you can actually come on Fridays. Probably not the people who are here, but oh, thank you, Leslie. There is a book that has images of all the tapestries. Thank you. I'm going to look for that. Oh, and Gudrun's here from Iceland. Welcome. So my only other announcements are that if you don't know, I've started a Patreon that supports this program, and it also supports my personal work. So some of you have seen, those of you who have joined, thank you so much. It's already making a difference in my ability to keep doing what I do. You'll see that the loom behind me over here is empty at the moment because I cut off that piece that was on there. And those of you on Patreon at the second tier or third tier level got to see the cutoff this week. So if you haven't been, go and there's a couple of videos about that. And I will be posting more videos soon. I'm hoping to do one for the tier one that's about change the shed stuff, about how I chose my colors for this piece I'm going to be showing you again today. And that'll be a fun extra video. And then I will occasionally do extra episodes. If you want to join Patreon, you can get some extra stuff. The only other thing is join my newsletter. Social media is sometimes a crapshoot. I've noticed in my feeds, I'm mostly seeing ads now, and it's frustrating. And so if you want to know what's going on or find out about some very cool things that are happening in the world of tapestry, please join my newsletter. It's totally free. It's just a MailChimp newsletter. I send it every Thursday, and there's a link below this video, or just go to tapestryweaving.com and look for the Let's Talk button. It's on the far right, or in the menu. It's probably the last thing in the menu. And sign up for my newsletter. It's called Tapestry Picks. Awesome. So, Marla, I honestly thought about hanging tapestries in my stone turret when it was minus 12 degrees last month. Awesome. There were ice crystals. So I think she's serious. Boy, cold. I heard you guys had some serious cold out there. So, we've had nice warm spring weather, except for now it's snowing. Doesn't matter, whatever. Sometimes it helps to just talk about the weather because other things just make us cry. So awesome. I have the same piece for you, and I will admit that I intended on being a certain place today, and I did not make it. So you're going to recognize this. I am about where I was before, and here, let me do this. So Patreon, there's a page just before I take this Patreon thing out. If you go to my website, tapestryweaving.com, in the menu, there's a thing that says Patreon. It'll tell you all about it. Please join if you'd like to support Change the Shed, or you just want extra stuff about what I'm doing in my studio. And that's been some of the fun stuff I've been posting. Okay, great. Cheryl says the catalog for that show we were talking about at the Clark is in their gift shop. So I will order a copy. Thank you, Cheryl. She says the catalog is really good. So that's good to know. So maybe I should back this out and so you can see a second. Hang on, let me fuss with the camera. And I don't like the camera in the view, but you know. What are you gonna do? I will get the overhead camera set up at some point, but I was using it for the other loom and blah, blah, blah. So you can see one thing I did do was put the cartoon. And actually, let me show you, those of you who haven't seen the cartoon. Let's see if this is it. Yeah, so there is the cartoon. I have not written here. You can see there's some words on this. It's a dumpster fire. I haven't put those on the cartoon because I am not 100% sure about that. I'm not 100% sure I'm not going to change part of this cartoon. So anyway, it doesn't matter. I am leaving this part. There's mountains and a leg with a hiking boot, and there's some references to the other two Pandemic Diaries pieces that I did, which you'll see as I go along. And so I'm right here. I'm weaving it sideways. I'm in this part that's on the right side of the tapestry when it's turned right side up. I just realized right before I turned the camera on that I forgot to draw this cloud on the cartoon, so we're winging that one. But my goal was actually to be up to this line today, and I didn't make it. So I will do an extra video so that by next Friday, we'll be up in this more exciting part of the tapestry. All right, I'm calling this It's Fine, as in everything's fine, right? Okay, so here's where we are. I'm gonna work over here on the right today and try to add in this cloud, which, let's see, can you see that? Yeah, okay, and I'm gonna zoom this back in again. Here's the cloud I forgot to put on this tapestry, but I think we can, I drew it on, I think I can get close enough. So I'm gonna zoom back in. Don't let it make you sick. Oops. I really didn't have the focus on there. Oops. Okay. Fun with cameras. All right, let's just do some weaving. This is my Shakta Ross loom, which I love more and more every time I use it. And I have the treadle assembly on it, and I so far love it. There's a color shift. Oh, you can't see the left side, but there's a color shift here at the bottom of this tapestry as well in the blue. Oh, another video I want to make for Patreon is of how the treadles actually work, so you can see my feet. I don't know if this light helps, or you know I'm always fussing with the light. It's never enough light. Unless it's full on sunlight, then it's too much. All right, I'm so glad some of you were at that Williamstown show, Williams something. that tapestry show. So I will. And also thank you to Kathy for bringing that up, for bringing the show up in the first place. So I'll have to get one of those catalogs. A show of all tapestries is kind of rare. In this country, it's such a great place to see a variety of tapestries. So if you ever can go to one, you should do that. All right, can you guys see that? I'm gonna need to play with the overhead camera and see if it is a little easier to see what I'm doing. I love the treadles on this shacked loom. They're so quiet. We've got 2 sequences there in the blue and 2 in the white. So these are sideways clouds. I think you could do, someone in Summer of Tapestry should do this. I think you could just weave clouds for like ever. Summer of Tapestry is the class I teach in the summer. It starts in May. So stay tuned for that. I'm already working on the material for that, and I'll have more information soon. I'm considering running that class also in September. So if anybody has opinions about that, if you'd rather take Summer of Tapestry in the fall, let me know. Usually it runs, I have warm-ups in May. I will do this for sure. A warm-up prompt in May, which is all new this year. And then I have starting, I think the first prompt drops the week after Memorial Day. So it might be like the last day of May. Prompt 1, and then there's 4 prompts and they're each 2 weeks long. And prompt just being something to give you an idea about what to weave. And then we have some Zoom meetings and lots of fun online interaction as we look at what everybody is weaving. It's about adventure and weaving simple things. I call it sketch tapestry. All right, here I have 1, 2, 3, 5. Let's catch up. Sometimes, especially when I'm talking, I just weave up in shapes and then I have to catch up what I'm doing. Kathy, this is the, she asked what loom I'm using. This is the shacked Arras or Arras, A-R-R-A-S. It is not the shacked original tapestry loom. You will never see me weaving on that loom, and I'm just going to leave it there. It was their very first loom, though. Shacked is a marvelous company. I appreciate the way they develop their products is so cool. They just are really great at testing everything, and their products are really good, and they stand behind them. So this is a great loom. I really like it. I have a blog post about it. If you just Google Rebecca Mezoff shacked Arras, it'll come up, and there's, gosh, I think there might be a video about it. I can't remember if I did a video or not. All right, so now I've lost track because I was talking and weaving. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I just want these to be even. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And I'm not quite all the way up, but I also definitely need to sew this slit. Does anybody use these? These are great. This is just a needle holder, but I love it. This is a really strong one made by CJM Woodcraft. I actually don't know this guy. I just know that I really like his needle blocks. I think he even makes some little looms or something, and some spinning stuff. But he makes those really beautiful and useful. It's so strong that I'll just throw that whole thing in my container with my weaving supplies without worrying that the needles will fall off, because they won't. Okay, so sewing a slit. I feel like you guys can't see this very well. Those of you with big screens probably can. It doesn't really matter. I have diagrams of how to sew slits in my book, The Art of Tapestry Weaving, and in probably every single online class. There are also lots of ways to sew slits. So if you don't like the way I do it, I like to do it as I'm weaving, because it keeps the structure of the tapestry more intact. It's easier to get your weft tension correct. You can sew them off the loom. The French workshops I went to, I was able to go to France one time before COVID on a tapestry tour. And all of the workshops we went to sewed the slits afterwards. They also use a ton of double weft interlock, so they don't have as many slits, depending on the design. I don't think that's universally true in France. I'm just saying the major workshops I went to were doing that. The Gobelin and Felletin in Abusan. Okay. The thing about stitching as you go is you actually do have to stitch as you go. So I can't just, I probably could move on, but it's best for me to do this now, with apologies. Oh yeah, Karen says she likes the needle blocks also so that they grab the needles so her dog won't get them. That's actually, I had not thought about that, but I have one little dog who would probably love to play with needles on the floor. And I don't really have that since I started using these really strong needle blocks. Okay, so let's catch up with this blue. Karen says she also likes her Eris and Treadles. I don't know if it's Eris or Arras. Both of those pronunciations are incorrect for the town in France it was named after. So I think that Schacht calls it the Eris. So maybe we should go with what the manufacturer says. Maybe we should all learn to speak French correctly, right? Americans, am I right? You're so bad about languages. Sometimes, like, see that little, can you see that? Yeah, it's like those little things. I've had a lot of students lately ask in the online classes, for whatever reason, asking about the salvages. And so that's the kind of thing to watch. I mean, this is a slit on the inside of the tapestry, but those little blips make a difference in your salvage. If you care, it's not something you have to care about, having straight salvages. Okay, let's move that over. And then let's fill in this other cloud, and we'll see if you can see it. So I've left a hole for this cloud. Can you see that? Yeah. These are mountains coming in. So let's see, how close are we? We're pretty close to, yeah, this is the way that line is. I will need to dot this on again soon. Let's see. Yeah, there it is. All right, but let's add that cloud. I'm using white faro, the bleached white. I am not using, so this is all Harrisville Kohler singles, the blue, but the, I wanted a bleached white for the clouds, and I didn't want to do the bleaching. I could have bleached the Harrisville Kohler singles, but I was afraid I would destroy the integrity of the yarn, so I'm just using, I had some of this bleached faro. It's a Swedish yarn, which is quite excellent and works well with Harrisville Kohler singles. Okay. Yes, Marla, great question. So as I was stitching that slit, this is a double set, right? So there's 2 warps. Right now I'm weaving at 8 ends per inch, and there's 2 warps in each. So if I bring, you know, the shed forward, there's 2 warp threads in each warp. And yes, I'm going around both of them as I'm stitching that. If I end up stitching any of the 16 EPI when I split those, I would go around just one of the warps. Hopefully I can make it so I don't have to do that. Okay, so let's look at the shed. This shed goes this way. This shed goes this way. I'm going to add 2 wefts in the middle, but right now I'm only going to add 1, and I want it to go this way in this shed. I want the white here at the top in opposition to this one, which means the shed right here is not correct between this and this, but it doesn't matter because that's a slit. And we're going to add, is this the right color? Yes, this gray for the bottom of the clouds. Good morning, Andrea from Honolulu, where it's probably not snowing. I am experiencing, this is all undyed faro. The grays are natural, and the white obviously is undyed. And it's a little bit thinner than the Kohler singles. The dyed faro tends to be a little thicker, but yarns vary. Okay. All right, now I'm going to add, now that I have 2 warps there, this shed, this would come this way, and so this needs to go this way. I am wrapping it a couple times. Secure it. One, two. Okay. Not entirely, yeah, that is correct. I wasn't sure there for a second if that was correct, but you can see with this shed open, can you see that? With this shed open, here, this will probably help. These 2 are up, and the white's coming this way, and the gray is going that way. Okay. It's kind of fun to fill in a shape like that because it takes less, if it's a small shape, it feels like it takes less time. It's kind of rewarding. Okay, already that's going right in there. Yeah, Andrea says it's not snowing in Hawaii. Yeah. Britta asks, what class of mine would you suggest once I made it through your book? Currently waiting for my Highland yarn for my sample piece. If you've worked through The Art of Tapestry Weaving is the book she's talking about. If you've worked through all of that, you probably could. It depends, of course. It always depends. If you feel like you have a handle on things, you could jump into something like the Tapestry Discovery Box, or color gradation techniques is a fun one. I usually suggest people take warp and weft. So you might look at that and see if you are missing skills that are in that big class. But if you feel like you have a handle on it, I am talking and not paying attention here. Okay, I think this is right. If you feel like you have a handle on the skills, because the book was basically written with a lot of the same material as warp and weft. Yeah, color gradation, Tapestry Discovery Box would be a great one. Although if you're in, I'm guessing from Atelier Britta that you are not in the United States, so it's harder to get the Tapestry Discovery Box. You can always write me too. You can email and we'll talk about what's next. Summer Tapestry would be a fun one. That one's coming up in a month or so. Karen, when you warped your Eris, did you put coils on the top and bottom? The Eris does not. You can actually see the bottom of the loom down here. The Eris does not have coils on the bottom, so no, there's no coils on the bottom. It's not possible to put coils on the bottom of this loom. That's why you see there's yellow tape here to help me space the warps I put a piece of that's yellow washi tape, which I would actually, as soon as I advance this warp, I'm going to pull that tape off because I don't want it on the wood of this loom for too long. Yeah, it's going to come off, but my grandmother put masking tape on every single thing she owned. And so I have a bunch of her looms and they all have like masking tape residue on them. So I'm very sensitive about the putting tape on your looms. But it's very helpful to help space the warps. Yeah, Karen, I thought you said you had an Eris, so I don't think you can put coils on the bottom. I mean, I could be wrong, but I don't know of any way you would do it. It's not made to put coils on the bottom. Okay, so now I've built that little flag. Woo! Cloud. Words. Up. I have 4 sequences there, and I have 2 of the blue. So let's build that blue up, and then we can keep shaping the cloud. Yeah, you're welcome, Karen. She said, thank you. I was wondering how that could happen. I don't think it can happen. On the Murex looms, you can buy a kit to put a coil on the bottom, which I do recommend. I think it's super helpful for warping evenly. It's called the Bottom Spring Kit, and I put them on all my Murex looms, even though they're kind of pricey. I feel like it's worth it. But the Eris doesn't have that feature. So you just have to be careful when you warp it. All right, let's move this blue. So I'm shaping this cloud and I want it to come down a little bit. This is the whole curve, making curves thing. I'm gonna make the shape a little bit before I fill it in. All right, and let's fill this in with the gray. Weft tension, when you're doing that, sometimes I'm doing this one warp wrap with this gray. You have to be really careful to keep that tension or it can look really sloppy. I mean, sometimes sloppy is fine, but in this case, I don't want it to look sloppy. Right there, that wrap. I'm kind of putting the wool on my pants to keep it like a little bit of friction so it doesn't unwrap. Sometimes I use blue tape. If I'm going to walk away and I want it to stay where I put it. I mean, you can always adjust it, but I'll use a little piece of blue tape. Okay, is that 1, 2, 3, 4? Yeah, we are up to level there. So I am going to draw the rest of the cartoon on, and I'm not going to do that on camera because I will absolutely screw it up. But I could do a video. Maybe I'll do a little short video if you're on Patreon. I'll put it on there. So watch for that, you guys. And again, thank you if you missed me saying it at the beginning. Those of you who have joined me on Patreon, I really appreciate it a lot. You can join for free. So I will have the show notes for Change the Shed is free on Patreon. So, you know, join even if you don't want to do the subscription thing so that you can see the show notes, which are where I put more details about what I've talked about. Which is actually a fair amount of work, and I don't know if anybody ever looks at them. Maybe that's just maybe it's my bad. Not worth it. Okay. Looking at the curve of this cloud and wondering when to make it come back. I'm always tempted to not follow the cartoon, but in this case, I'm going to swallow my cloud anxiety and weave to where the dots on the cartoon are. When you're weaving curves, we talked about this in the Tapestry Discovery box about curves. It's a lot about learning to think like a tapestry weaver, to make the curves look curvy in a gridded structure is tough. So that, you guys, I think I'm one long cartoon, but just so you know, the curve box from the Tapestry Discovery box, if you missed it last summer, it's now for sale again through just as a one-off class. It's a class you can keep forever. Oh, thanks, Marlena. Thanks for telling me you do actually look at the show notes. I appreciate that. Oh, and Janice too. Thank you. And Laura. Okay, good. See, you guys made me feel better. Sometimes we just need a little reassurance that it's worth the work. And so I appreciate that. I will keep doing them. I mean, sometimes I mention things nobody wants to look at, but like today, I'll probably put a link to that show we were talking about. So if you're curious, you can go find it. Okay, I've totally lost track of the time today. All right, it's 11:09. Okay, and so I've built up this little shape. Now let's fill in with this blue. And so the other thing about stitching is that it helps me track how many sequences I've done, and I'm still one behind here. So the slit sewing is actually like a counting thread. If you've ever done that in knitting where you put a counting thread to count how many rows you've done, it's sort of the same thing. So I know that I needed 2 more over here to match the cloud. And there I'm going behind, I think you can sort of see that. going behind, Marlo's asking both of those warps, which I'm just treating right now as one warp because I'm weaving at 8 ends per inch. But excitingly, next Friday, when I'm back on the 21st, I'm doing a Friday Change the Shed. I will be working on, I have to be because I'm done with this part, the part where some of it will be 16 EPI. So right away, if I get there, I might be lying. The first 16 EPI part will be this leg and the, you can't see that at all. Anyway, there's a boot and a leg, and that part will be 16 EPI. So I can get the detail in like the shoelaces. It'll be fun. All right, we've got 3 sequences. Sorry if you could hear that. My little dog just drank water and he's not very coordinated, and so he's choking on it. Okay, let's catch up here. All right, now these two are caught up. All right, so I have lost my dots, and this is the cloud that I forgot to put on the cartoon. Hold on. Here is the cartoon that I had drawn just before I had the other one done. So let's look at that. Okay. So if that blue comes in one more warp, I think we'll be good. And that's dog hair. Oops. So I've got 2 there. All right, so right here, that's going to be tricky. It's going to be tricky to do 2 colors on 3 warps is why I said that. So fortunately, I'm just going to do that for 1 sequence. So this blue will make a little point and then come back out. So this can go here, and then the next time it would wrap on that. There, sometimes you get little blips like that. Yes. Let me see if I can get this a little bit closer. So this is just another comment because I commented before. See how that white is sort of sticking out there? And I know the camera's a little bit to the side. I'm going to see if I can get the camera right over my head next time. But you can take a needle and you could unweave it, or I can just, fiber's amazing. You can just ease that little blip out. You can do a lot of this kind of thing off the loom too, right? It seems like cheating, but it really isn't. All right, I'm pretty pleased with those clouds. I think they're cartoony and they're coming out how I want, so that's really fun when that works out. Yes. David asked, where do I find the show notes? So they used to be on my website. If you go to Change the Shed, if you want to see the show notes from all the old episodes, there's tons of links. If you go to my website under online learning, there's a thing that says Change the Shed, and they're all linked there. And there's 140 episodes or something. So now they're on Patreon. So if you just go to my website, tapestryweaving.com, look for the Patreon link in navigation, and that will take you over to Patreon. And you do have to sign up, but you can sign up for free to see the show notes. Which Margaret also told Dave, but that was for anybody else who missed that at the beginning. Anne asked, would I consider a tapestry box on double set weaving? Yes, it is actually on my list. I want to play with this tapestry a little bit more. I can tell you that the next tapestry discovery box in April is on color harmony, and the one in July is on a particular color harmony. So I'm doing 2 in a row on colors, a little bit of color theory, but how to use color harmonies to choose your own yarns. So that'll be really fun. And then the one in October will be on line. I want to spend a little bit of time talking about materials and how to make different lines and different orientations in tapestry, because I have not done that one yet. But high on my list is the double set weaving. So that may be, I know it seems like a long time from now, but it may be next January. I actually have to choose the colors. I've already chosen the colors for the October box. That's how far ahead I have to choose them now because of all of the issues and how far ahead the mill needs to know what the colors are before we can actually get them. So oh, great question, Paula. Yeah, I've been screwing with this weaving, but I haven't been very organized about it. So since I finished this piece, I have more. I can work on this piece a little bit more. Is there a color gradation in the sky, darker from left to right? Yes. So, and you know what? I'm going to pull up the picture. I don't want to pull this cartoon out because it was really hard to get in there, but let me show you the picture again. And I'll show you where the color gradation is. Here it is. Okay, so the color gradation, so I'm weaving it sideways, and so it's on the loom, and this is the part I'm working on. Can you guys see my little hand? At the bottom, below that foot, to the right of that foot, it's darker, and up where the top of it is, it's lighter. It's not a huge difference, but there is a gradation. And mostly, I was going to make that whole border the same color, but I actually only have one ball of the color I wanted to use, and I really didn't want to go dye another one. I could do that if I have to, but I had a very similar color that was lighter, so I decided to do a bit of a gradation. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for coming to Change the Shed. Does any dog want to come on? Come here. Come here. Sally says she would like to say hi. This is not the choking dog, but this is Sally. She says hello, and she's having a good nap. So thank you all for coming. I will see you next Friday, the 21st, and then the next one after that will be a Wednesday in April. So I'll have all those dates on the calendar on my website. Also under online learning, there's something that says calendar, and I have all the links there. Or just go to YouTube, and they're always under the upcoming live thing. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for being so great. And next time, we'll be working on the colors in the middle of this piece, which I'm excited about. It's going to be a lot of fun. See you then. Bye-bye.